So revisiting this A73 rainbow flop in a 3-bet pot, we've 3-bet from the button against MP. We've got a C-bet opportunity. If we look at the high level breakdown of this range, we will see that we bet 78% of the time exclusively for half pot. We can simplify by betting our entire range here. However, we can try to do a little bit better. I'm going to look specifically at the top and bottom of our range here. Starting with the bottom, we can see that we bet air 100% of the time. That's the first takeaway. Very rarely going to have that hand. If we then look at our next weakest category of bare draws, no pair, just a bare draw, we'll see that we're betting again backdoor flush draw 100% of the time. That's a nice little chunk of our range that we can just auto bet, nut wraps and nut open-ended straight draws. So there are strongest straight draws on this board. We're going to check. Very, very infrequent, but again a nice little takeaway, and our decisions are going to come on bare nut gut shots. They're going to be mixed, pretty much 50-50. So if we drill down into that category, we will see that once we filter them and order them in EV difference, the biggest EV difference at the top, we see that there's a lot of red cards over here and very few red cards on the left. So if we filter for not having 2 red cards, we can see that we're going to check much more frequently, and that is about half of our range, which is what we're looking for. So our first category of bare nut gut shot, our rule is check if we don't have 2 hearts and bet otherwise. Go back to our high level. That has covered, by the way, about 15% of our range, which is nice and quick. Sets, again, top 2, we can simplify both of these by betting 100% of the time, but we're just looking for what can we check. If we look at our sets, again, this breaks down nicely. Middle and bottom set are always betting. We don't get those hands very frequently. Top set, we're going to find some checks. Where do they come from? So almost exclusively going to be top set with a straight draw. Again, we can drill down into there, have a look. Again, we see much more cards on the right with 2 hearts. If we don't have 2 hearts, we do increase our check, but not that much. We're also looking for about 0.6, 0.7, but what we've actually got is 0.85, so we're going to check a little bit too much there. It's also not going to be that accurate, so we're going to look for something else. What springs out here on the right, I've got 5-2 and 4-2 very often, and here I have got 6-5 and 5-4 very often. So what that means is, as well as not having 2 hearts, we're also going to have either an open ender or a nut gut shot, and this now gives us a much more accurate checking range, and also with a better frequency. That covers our sets. That's a fair chunk of our range. That's about 40% of our range covered. And then finally, if we look at 2 pair, again we find top 2 is just going to be bet 100% of the time. Top and bottom is going to be mixed. We've never got bottom 2 in this spot on this board. How do we decide when to check top and bottom? So if we've got a straight draw blocker, we just go ahead and bet. If we don't, then we mix. Same deal, we drill down into that, it's a 50-50 mix. We've got 1%, so we're looking for about 0.5% of checks. This time our red cards appear more often in the checking column, so let's filter for that. Doesn't really help us at all. So what else do we see in this left hand column that we don't see in the right hand column? Well, almost all of these hands have a pocket pair and none of these hands have a pocket pair. So if we filter for that, we will now see that we are checking very frequently with a pocket pair. We'll check a little bit too much, but it's close enough, and that gives us a pretty good high level checking strategy that's gonna cover the top and the bottom of our range. And if we filter that, that's going to be almost half of our range, and we're going to be able to identify the checking hands pretty easily.